Happy Valentine's Day and a whole lot more. Diamond Diehards is on. Joe Rizzo here bringing you baseball along with my Valentine. Not mine, yours and mine and everybody's Valentine. We are your Valentines for this show. It's the dog, Jeff Healy, with me. As always, it's I guess it's turns into a Monday Night Live. It just happens to be Valentine's Day. We had to push it back till about 9:30 Eastern time to take care of all of the important things that we have to do on Valentine's Day with our lovely wives, meaning drive the kids around, get them to places, and in our case, ordering out Mexican food from Moe's and eating it at the table while we're watching the Olympics and other stuff. More on that later. Today, tonight, whenever you are listening to this, a big show for you. I don't know if we're going to mix in the Valentine's Day theme the whole time, but we will. I don't know. We'll find ways to inject it in there a little bit. Rams beat Bengals in the Super Bowl. Do a little Super Bowl versus World Series, football and other sports versus baseball, maybe a little Olympics talk. The universal DH is upon us, even if there is a labor lockout. We know that when it's going to be unlocked, there's going to be a universal DH. That's pretty big news in the baseball realm. MLB Labor Negotiations, is there an update? I don't know. Pitchers and catchers, when do they report? When don't they? We're going to give you all that. We, as you know, if you listen, we time travel and we predict the future. So we'll try to do that once again. And then we'll wrap it up with Diehard Dads. Well, we kick off just about every show with one of our favorite segments. It is called Veteran of the Day. Our Veteran of the Day emeritus is Jeff the Dog Healy, and this one is one I was I as soon as I got this info that I was seeking out from a friend. More on that in a moment. I was like, oh man, I want to do a show right now so we could do this Veteran of the Day. I'm very excited for this one. Usually it's if it's a personal one, it's usually one along the dog's end. This time it's one along my realm, but dog was like, "You want to do this one?" I'm like, "No, I want you to do it, dog, because I feel like that's sort of part of the honor as we've gone on." So here's the dog with a very special to me, and I know to a few other people around here, Veteran of the Day.
All right, thanks, Riz. Yes, we had a fun one here. Our veteran of the day is Major Chris Lopez in the United States Marine Corps. Nice mix of both veteran and baseball in here, as Chris was a baseball player at the U.S. Naval Academy and was one of the team captains in his junior year. He also wound up playing for the All Marine Corps baseball team during active duty, which is interesting. We've had that a bunch of time for some of the baseball players we've honored in the past for a Veteran of the Day. So that's kind of cool to see that for a current veteran. On there, he was a 1992 graduate at U.S. Naval Academy, so right after us when we came in. He served on active duty from 1992 to 1999. And then after 9/11, like a lot of guys, came back on active duty from 2003 to 2006 in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which was Afghanistan, and Operation Iraqi Freedom over in Iraq. He served with the 11th, I'm sure amongst other units, but he served with the 11th Marines at Camp Pendleton and some of the support battalions at Camp Pendleton as well. Artillery officer, not a ton of artillery in in the Marines. So they tend to travel a little bit lighter, so it's kind of cool for that branch to get that in the Marine Corps, and actually won the St. Barbara Award, which was actually some of my battalion commanders and the engineers came out of the artillery, and they had earned that as well. So that's a very prestigious award that's earned over a career in the artillery. So that's actually really cool that a Marine wound up getting that. Other awards he got include the Meritorious Service Medal, so one of the highest medals that we have in the military. Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. So once again, I'm gonna guess he's probably a second baseman for like a Marine. Like Marines normally a little kind of the wiry kind of guys, stuff like that. So I'm guessing it's second base, and we'll have to find it out later on. But anyway, or a catcher. He could be a catcher too. Anyway, Major Chris Lopez, our veteran of the day.
Okay, that's a good one for me because the Lopez's are a wonderful family that we have had the opportunity to get to know over the past few years. Believe it or not, from I'm gonna back up so you can see hockey. Their son Jake is a hockey player, and he plays with Louisa when Louisa is playing on her high school team. But what's also great is Lou, as you know, we've probably talked about a million times here, is also a softball player, and Jake is a baseball player, and the softball field and the baseball field are like adjacent to one another. So very often, like, we're watching the softball games kind of like from the outfield, and we're right next to the stands for the baseball, and there are the Lopez's. So we pop over, between innings, and uh, they're just a great family. I want to really give a heartfelt thanks to Wendy Lopez, our good friend, and say hi to Jake and Holly. They're wonderful kids, really good family. And this was just, I've known Chris for a while, and I had no idea about this tremendous background. I'm like, this is tailor made for veteran of the day. Like,
What we do.
and geez, yeah, we'll have to find out what position. We'll have
And
to find out what
I gotta
position.
say, truly remarkable that his wife actually had all that information on him. Because
Well,
if I had cast to mine, who knows?
very clearly she's not watching the live stream, nor is she standing near you right now. You could have been a little more charitable to the cat on Valentine's Day, dog.
True for you, Squire.
She probably, if Kat needed the information on you, she probably would just like ask me or one of the Fordham crew.
That is true.
Hey, listen, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so I was very very glad to do that. Very excited to do that one, and I got my Ramapo. Is it hockey? Yeah, I got my Ramapo hockey shirt on for that. And if that's a familiar name to those people around here, Chris Sims, the former quarterback in the NFL and son of Phil Sims, he was like an all-time high school great at Ramapo, for instance. So that's like one big, namely graduate of a school that I'm glad to be a part of as a parent. But I think we can move on. And their baseball team's always real good. And I get to watch them. I think I've talked about them a few times. We went to games on a couple of Fridays, and there was a walk-off two-run homer one week and a walk-off grand slam the next week. I'm like, they should pay me to go to the games. Like, really? I think they might have to do that. Yeah. Oh, of course, Dwayne Morris, our buddy, jumps on and notes that Brian Toll went there too. Well, which Toll was it? No, one of them went to Don Bosco though. Well, yeah, that's Greg or Brian. I forget which one. One went to Ramapo, one went to Bosco. So a big tradition in these here parts that we're lucky to be a part of. All right, dog. Happy Valentine's Day to Debbie Rizzo. I'm sure you'd like to wish it to Kat, although the chances that she's gonna ever watch this are probably slim and none.
You never know. You never know.
Possibly.
A nice shout out to my wonderful sweetheart. I took her out to lunch today, so I got a little bit in there.
Oh, really?
Had the Boy Scout meeting tonight, so we had to kind of sneak out in the middle of the day. So a little couples lunch. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, Debbie Rizzo and I trekked down to the other school, Bergen Catholic, to pick up producer Xavier from school, and then I gave way behind the wheel and I let him drive us home. At which time I wrote out all the Valentine cards while I was being chauffeured around, and Debbie was being the co-pilot, and producer Xavier stopped and got some gas, and boy, this show has gone off the rails just right off the bat. Wait, is this Diehard Dads already?
Exactly.
Practically. Yeah, so Valentine's Day, it's never been that big of a one for us. Like Debbie's, she's like, I really hate going out on Valentine's Day. We could just do something else like some other day. But I'm like, we don't even go anywhere anyway to celebrate anything. So it's like kind of just, Moe's was the thing. So it was Mexican, and we'll pay the price later. Rams beat the Bengals in the Super Bowl. Yes, it's a baseball podcast, but we're gonna use that because people will care when they see football, which is sort of leads to the is it a problem, dog? Like, is it a problem that we use football to politic ourselves for eyes and viewers and eyeballs about what's supposed to be kind of a show about baseball, but also about life. This podcast. I shamelessly do it. I don't care. But is that sort of the state of where we're at these days that we kind of have to mix it in a little
Yeah,
bit?
I mean it's part of the society, right? I mean, when pretty much everyone in America is watching that, they may be looking at different things. Some are in the commercials, some are in a halftime show. Most of us watching the game as well, of course. But it's a societal phenomenon. I mean, and even extending beyond the United States. So yeah, absolutely, it's deserving of it.
Rams pull off the win over the Bengals. Does that mean if these cities meet again for the World Series, does that mean we're going to have a Reds Angels World Series? I was thinking about that, and I'm like, well, it would be pretty cool because it would mean Trout and Otani are in the World Series. And, the Reds could get a nice little bolster from the Universal DH because that means, maybe they get an extra bat in the lineup and Joey Votto doesn't have to play first base all the time. And he had this like great career resurgence. So I kind of thought about that for a quick second. And then I was like, well, wait, maybe I should just go bet it. It's like a futures bet.
Get in
Like it.
first.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the odds if you could get the matchup somewhere are probably like pretty long that those two teams
Yeah.
would meet in the World Series, but it's not really that far fetched, right? I mean,
I mean,
there's
how many had that in the football, right? Not
yeah.
many. I mean, even halfway through the season, it wasn't looking all that great.
How about at the start of the playoffs? They were both four
Yeah,
seeds,
yeah.
right? So, I mean, you couldn't have gotten the odds that you would have had in the Bengals at the beginning of the year, what, like 100 to 1 or 120 to 1 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, listen, we got to get unlocked out first, right? Then, dog, for baseball, we have to get a little bit out of the. I mean, now they're out of the football shadow, right? So they've done that,
Yep.
but it's not like we're jumping right into baseball on the Monday after the Super Bowl here. We wanted to be doing Valentines and talking about, the pitchers and the catchers being there, or maybe the rest of the squads reporting, and those things would have happened or been happening at this point. And, we would be into it, and we would have a lot of rosters that were filled out, and we don't have that right now. We still have some big names, and even if their names are not big, we have important players that are going to end up in different uniforms than either we're used to seeing them or than we saw them last season. And now, on top of that, you have this whole construct of the universal DH mixed in. So there should be a lot for baseball and its fans. And not just that, because the fans of baseball are going to be there, right? I mean, unless you really, really, really screw it up, we're going to be there. But it's those other people that you want to catch while they're looking at the Super Bowl, and you take that. I mean, wouldn't it be brilliant, dog, if you were Major League Baseball to buy a spot or do a big spot during the Super Bowl? Like, wouldn't that just make so much sense? I mean, these guys want to sit there and burn their money and in a pissing contest. Spend the whatever something million for a half hour and produce one of those commercials like they did with the football animation things with the grandmother spitting out the football and the kids making. I mean, that was a great commercial. Do that with baseball. You could have Bo Jackson running up the outfield. You could have Trout. You could have Hank Aaron. You could have Babe Ruth animate. I mean, you could do all these things, and then like the next day or that night or whatever, people be like, "Oh yeah, I got to check on my baseball stuff. Like, I got to get ready. Now it's time. Like now football's over. It's time for baseball, and I'll do a little of the hockey and the basketball or whatever it is in the interim to keep me interested." But still, despite all their missteps, despite all their missteps, it's still a great game. No matter how much you're trying to kill it, it's still a great game. Like it's just baseball survives, right? It's erased like a blackboard, and you know, just just like James Earl Jones says in
Yep.
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, it's I gotta say each time though you continue to wonder, right? Especially with the younger guys that like I'd sit there, I even have my Michael's still big into baseball and so forth and doing it all the time, and he's not sitting there watching the whole game, right? So like the more you make it more and more difficult, more and more longer, I don't know. It's tough. You got to keep doing it. You have to fight for the next audience every time, and you can't just count on it rolling in. And I think baseball's got to get with the program on it. I'll be honest. I didn't think the lockout was going to last as long as it has. At this point, I still sit there and I look at it. You're finally starting to hear a little bit about what they're negotiating about, but these are not like existential things, right? And we're sitting there like squabbling over like Super 2 money and like, what to throw in. I mean, you're talking 2 million, 3 million a team at the highest point. It's trivial. It's peanuts for a league like that. It's very head scratching to me on it. And then I see the players, they're like, oh, they didn't get this, they get that. I'm like, I don't know what anything the players have actually given up, right? It's sort of like just like we have lower demands for increases. I'm like, okay.
Right?
I'm like, you're like Kills. Like, well, why do they go? I mean, I'm like, I don't know. They offered to give you more. I'm like, you're like screaming you wanted more than more. I'm like, okay. But I'm like, like, where is there a little bit of trade off on the way here, or you just pissed and you just want to make a disagreement. Which again, I think we talked the last time on, right? It feels right now. They're still they want both sides to lose. And I don't know. I guess we're just going to play this closer and closer. And I don't know. Opening day is looking a little bit more and more questionable each time. And you're probably another week or two. But if you're hitting March, I'm not sure you're getting an April 1 start.
You have like a week, maybe 10 days. You could sort of push it back, and then if you want to keep the 162, you get a little creative and you start doing some double headers here and there. And I think the fans are receptive to that. And then we'd have to make sure that those double headers are 9-inning double headers and not 7-inning double headers. There would probably not be as many of them as there were in the 2021 or 20 seasons, right? And
Yeah.
that then if they're doing 7-inning double headers is going to start a lot of these other conversations that we're all too familiar with now, of like we're adjusting the game and we're putting runners on second in extra innings. Like I think that stuff gone? Like we don't even really know. Like our 7-inning doubleheaders gone? I don't know. I mean, I think they just figured that they probably weren't going to have to play many doubleheaders, and it wasn't really going to be that much of an issue. But some people kind of liked the idea of this 7-inning doubleheader as an avenue to add more doubleheaders. So if you're going to have the doubleheaders, okay, make them 7 innings, and maybe people could live with that. Most of the actual ball players themselves and former ball players don't like it. They don't feel like it's baseball unless you're playing 9 innings in the major leagues. So I could see both sides of that. And maybe therein lies some kind of compromise again for the short term, where we're doing things for another season. We say, okay, we're going to start the season on Jackie Robinson Day, and we're going to lose like the first 2 weeks, but we're going to play 14 double headers, and because of that, we're going to have 7-inning double headers in the 26th, 27th guy, whatever you want to do. So there might be some of those type of compromises in the offing, Dog. I think it's possible.
Yeah, and it's like the more it gets delayed, right? Like now you're adding something else you've got to negotiate, right? So it's like we're still squabbling over like a 1 or 2 issues, or whatever, and like the salary cap and the tax on the high on how high a tax it is if you go over, and the Super Two money. Like I said, like a week from now you're getting into, do you have a 27th player, right? I mean, it's like each time, like you're adding another complication, and then it turns to like the seventh inning doubleheader. Like, do you want that? And then you get into like the time to play and stuff like that. And it's like, that's great. I mean, two 9 inning doubleheader, two 9 inning games for a doubleheader is great. Yeah, well, it's a 7.5 hour ordeal to sit there and go through. Like, I mean, how is that helping keeping your fan base in? I said, my guys can't watch a half an hour. I'm like, you want to say we're gonna have games that are going forever? I mean, I don't know.
She
Get me all
gone.
fired up. What's going on here? It was a Valentine's Day. We should be happier.
I know.
I'm
She
bitter
gone.
right now.
She gone. She gone. Um, Dog. If let's see. If do you remember a ball player named Tito Landrum, Cardinal '82, back
Oh,
around that
I
era?
don't. I should, because I was really into
Yeah.
with the Cardinals right then.
So
Back
so
then.
so say that I took this from him, right? And this was his property. This would be what? Like possessive. If this belonged to Tito, it would be what? What would you say that
Tito's
this
Tito.
this is what was
Tito's
it?
vodka.
Tito.
I don't
And if the Diamond Dog had was
The heavy
shaking
pool.
hands, yeah,
Tito's heavy pool.
yeah. I mean, I'm just not associating things that may or may not be in the tumbler to that. I'm just saying.
I was feeling good about the Tito's vodka, but I thought that I had it. But
Well, yeah, that
the
was
heavy pool.
yeah,
That's what we're getting for.
Tito Landrum, heavy paw. Yeah, it doesn't. It's Monday. It doesn't matter.
I was working in the Landrum. I'm like, where's that go?
Yeah, no, Tito's. Yeah,
Tito's,
it's
Tito's,
Tito's. It's
Tito's.
Tito's. And we're just talking about baseball. We're not talking about what may or may not be in some kind of Belmont Park tumbler, right?
Exactly.
With
Exactly.
ice and apple cranberry. Um, we're not talking about that. That's not what we're talking. We're back to the rundown.
Go back 200 years.
Super Bowl versus World Series, dog. Or do we even get much into the Super Bowl here? I mean, I
Better game than I
my
thought.
my main play from a betting standpoint, and I'm into these things like from the game standpoint, and I like to watch the lines, and I like to see where the odds are going to take you, and I was all about the Bengals plus 4.5 and the under 48.5. And I thankfully stuck to my conviction, so I did okay. I tried like a bunch of the prop bets. It is amazing, like the prop bets, the in-game betting stuff. It really is amazing, like what you could do, and they do it great for football. They really do. And now they're running all these specials and everything, and I have some kind of basketball same game parlay going that's free. I'm like, it's free. I mean, like, I'll take a swing. Why not? And maybe I'll even bet women's Olympic hockey while I'm at it. I'm
How
not
about
saying
that?
that I'm not saying that I did.
But you
And I'm
could.
not, and I'm not saying that I won because I didn't. I can tell you that I didn't. Um, but man, they do such a great job with it. So what I'm thinking is like we talk about baseball, and the conversation about baseball and gambling is you got gambling sites and apps and casino houses and stuff like that are directly sponsoring major league teams. And herein you have Pete Rose, who's not eligible for the Hall of Fame still because of gambling, and Shoeless Joe Jackson, 100 years plus 5 since he's played a major league game practically, and long, long, long since passed away. We're down generations in his genealogy at this point, and consideration of letting him back in, perhaps not, unless there's conversations going on behind the curtains here. But dog, what it makes me think is this is another thing that, like, look, if you're in bed with these companies, like, do a better job on using that to integrate some of your new fans. Like get into it. Like really embrace it then if it's already there, embrace it and you, that experience enhance it. Like what's the thing about baseball that baseball detractors always say, dog? And you tell me if I'm wrong. It's too slow, it doesn't move fast enough, there's nothing going on. Well, if you could bet the outcome of the next batter and that's available, right? Or the outcome of the inning or whatever. It's like things like that, bets during the game, then that's going to get a lot of people interested. And, they're not going to sit there and make a bet on every single play of the game, but it's going to get them interested in the game for some reason. And then you're going to grab a lot of people and get their attention, and they're going to start to like baseball more because at least you're using it as a vehicle, as part of the funnel, right, to bring them in. And not everybody that you get in is going to stay, but you're going to be able to keep a few, and you're going to be able to build your fan base a little more. And let's face it, that's where this thing is going, right? And that's one of the reasons why football is so popular. It's not that football is just such a superior game to baseball. A lot of people think the same about football as people say about baseball. Like, they stop after every play. There's 26 timeouts. The last 43 seconds of the game take an hour and a half. And, basketball is the same complaint. Hockey, not so much, right? But, um, they could stand to do a better job. Not just on, I think they've done a good job on the integration of these things. I think a lot of these things exist, but the messaging is not there. And like, you really had a chance to do that during the Super Bowl, like where baseball could be pushing what they're doing during the Super Bowl. Why are you not buying up ad time to push your sport? You have people who are interested in some way, shape, or form in either an event or a sport or a combination of both. Check back with us in the World Series. Like, I mean, like, check out your team during the year.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I think I think it's a bad slope baseball's going down. I mean, I would say I'm on the other side of you on that one. I think it just opens up all sorts of light, like we talked with football with Flores, right? So now you have the prop betting and stuff like that. Now guys are tanking games, right? So now we're doing a draft lottery. Now everything starts to come into question is the problem. And if it's if it's not nefarious, it's going to be assumed, and you're going to start getting lawsuits. And I think it's, well, yes, you'll bring some people in for purely the betting aspect of it. I think it's a real danger to the game, and I just have a feeling it's just going to blow up. And I'm like, can you imagine sitting there betting on the batter? Right. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't think that's, I don't think it does the game justice. And B, there's a reason why they kept gambling out of baseball, or at least tried to keep gambling out of baseball for a long, long time. Right. It's too easy to put the fix in. Right.
Okay,
Especially,
counterpoint.
all right, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with this.
I'm off the soapbox.
Okay. No, your point is well taken. But why wouldn't it be true in every sport then? Well, I'll tell you the difference now. The difference now is because, in my opinion, there is so much more money involved, and you would have to just have astronomical amounts of money, and the fix is just too easy to track at this point because all this data is readily available, and it's all you know watched by government regulations and regulators, and
Dude, are
plus
you
these
kidding?
companies are what?
Are you kidding? I'm a guy who deals with the SEC all the time, and I'm constantly like, this is some blatant insider trading and whatever else like that. And the SEC's like, oh, I could possibly figure that out. So just if you count on the government to police that one,
Well,
I do not agree on that one.
but what you have is, how are you going to pay off like Aaron Rodgers to throw a football game? Like, he's
Yeah,
making
I think it's hard.
$40 million dollars a year, and
Yeah.
he's the guy that you need, right?
It,
You're gonna pay off Jacob DeGrom. You're gonna pay off Max Scherzer to throw a game. He makes $43 million a year. What are you going to give him?
how about Edwin? How about
63? Like, I
how
mean,
how about Edwin Diaz, closer for the Mets, right? Not in pre-free agency, right? Couple mil. Who knows? Why even open that up, right?
there's
Yeah, I
not that.
can you get yours? So the problem in baseball, it's such an individual one, right? In baseball, he hangs a curve, he tips a pitch, right? He doesn't have to like blow it, right? That's the thing. It becomes so, how many times do you see a crazy outcome should never happen, right? Which was the lore of the game before, and now when all of a sudden thousands of people are out millions of dollars, that's not going to be that story anymore. It's going to be somebody heard this and somebody did that. It just, I think it's opening up to potentially destroy the game, to be honest.
I think there's so much.
In interest of short-term monetary gain, I think it's
I
risking the game long-term.
I think there is so much, and I have a background in the sports and gaming industry, which you know,
Yep.
and maybe some of our people don't know, but especially from like the horse racing industry and the gambling industry, and sports and gaming as well. So there is so much visibility into handle, into large bets, um, into the take and the takeout. It's so easily tracked. It's all reported. It's all public information, and there's just not enough that it's so unlikely. I'm telling you, it's so unlikely. Even for fighters, like they always would talk about fighters. You'd be like, this boxer's shady, this judge is shady. Eh, maybe a judge here or there, something like that. I've seen a lot of curious stuff as a devout, follower, and as part of the MMA industry, mixed martial arts. I mean, I've seen some really crazy things, but these are like possibly for a pittance. And when you're talking about it at the major league levels of any of these sports, dog, I'm telling you, you had the NBA ref, it's already 15 years ago, right? And all the gambling has really been legalized since then. It's just much more transparent. And I know, like you said, the SEC, I mean, that's massive money, right? I mean, that's where you're really moving a lot of different things. But if somebody really wanted to dig, right? Like they could probably find those things, and then it becomes a political matter maybe. But I don't think that at this point, if they're in bed with these companies already, like I think it's not even a question anymore. I think it has to do with the messaging that you have to let a whole generation of people out there, these the 20 somethings who are sitting there on their phone, they that's part of what their entertainment is. A lot of them, and then if they're at a ballpark, they're going to do it, or if they're out with their friends at a bar or something like that, and the games are on, they want to just throw a couple of bucks down for the heck of it. It enhances their interest in it. I don't know. I mean, like I said, the toothpaste is already out of the tube. So let's make sure we get it on the brush and clean our teeth the right way with it. Like instead of like shooting the toothpaste at, like let's be more efficient about it, and let's see what we have to do, and let's examine if this is a way that we have to grow the game and bring people into it. Do you want the next generation of dads who, are a generation behind us, and their kids are coming up, and if they're not exposed to baseball and they're not baseball fans, like they're going to send their kids to go play soccer or lacrosse or something else, and not populate those diamonds, right? And
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
not going to be good for the
I'm not
sport,
sure,
grassroots level.
I'm not sure the gambling is going to necessarily solve that. Um, yeah, it gives them, like I said, I think from a brand perspective, I really worry on it, and I think it's very short term. I think it's the quick hit, the quick dough. Same in all the states, right? All the states are rolling on it, and you know, adding more gamblers out there. I mean, is that really good for society? I would say no, right? I'm sorry. Like, and I like screwing around, like buying a box, I'll throw something down occasionally, whatever, and that's fine. And I never I never get over the skis, right? And I don't have an issue with it. It's like anything else in that, right? So, but I think particularly when you start getting prop stuff and you get or like in-game stuff. I mean, it's like I said, it's one thing to bet on the coin flip of the Super Bowl, right? All right, that's a funny prop bet or whatever else like that. Like when you start getting into like, is Eli Apple, right? Do we want to get into that? Like also Eli Apple is pretty decent coming to this. Also, he completely blows it at the end of the game and can't cover anybody, right? Do we want to start? And I think in baseball, I think it's even more so that it comes in. I mean, it's such a game of inches anyway. It's almost impossible to prove out that someone was deliberately doing something to tank it, which immediately means that any close play now becomes suspect. Like, whereas I think in football, I think it's harder, right? There's so many people who have to be in on football and they're making so much dough. I agree with you, right? It's too hard to do, right? Basketball, you could, but they're all making gajillions, right? So that's probably hard to kind of
It is.
get. Baseball's in the middle. Like if you got a pitcher, you got a middle reliever or something like that. All he's got to do is groove one, right? And like I said, I think it opens it up, and they've had enough of an issue in the past that they were keeping it out. That I think if you're keeping it on that, it's like I said, particularly like in-game stuff. That just to me is like it's one thing to say, all right, they threw the game. All right, it's a little hard to. I'm like, you start getting out of prop bets. I mean,
yeah, but dog, think about like what the guys that are going to be the ones that you need on the take. Like, okay, so you say a reliever, right?
here's
Well,
Familia.
you
How
know,
many
you
times? How many times was said he'd be on the take if this is going on 2 years ago? I'd be
okay.
like, this guy was great, and now he's blowing everything. Magic.
Let's run through the scenario of somebody trying to fix a major league game, which I think in this day and age is almost impossible. But let so if you're going to try to fix a major league game, the guy you got to get is the pitcher, right? The starter. What is the average?
Well, it depends. If are you talking about trying to throw the whole game, or are you doing a prop bet?
Well,
I would
how
go
do you
for
know?
I would go for a reliever, frankly.
How do you know what the situation's going to be? You don't know when the reliever is going to get in the game. You don't know what game the reliever is going to get into. You don't know what the situation is going to be when the reliever gets in. You'd have to have some kind of standing deal with the lowest paid reliever on the team who is in some kind of trouble and he so badly needs the more than what $650,000 minimum major league salary that he's already making.
What's his
Okay.
risk,
So
right?
now we got to hope that he gets into the game. And then when he gets into the game, it's got to be a close game. And then he's got to do something to just kind of blow the game. And then when he does that, you have to hope that his teammates don't come up and rally for seven more in the bottom of the inning, right?
Well,
So it
okay,
it,
sorry.
it's dog. It's I'm telling you, I've thought it through a lot, and it's just with the money that is involved in player salaries, endorsements, and everything today, would be so hard to fix a baseball game. I just cannot see it happening. I can't.
What's I agree. It's a lot harder to fix the game, but again, taking your scenario of the prop bet, right? So and so scores a run this inning. That's not that hard. I got a middle reliever in there who I know. Hey, the Mets burned down the rotation and Mert burned up their bullpen yesterday, right? So I know so and so. I know Trevor May's coming in. Like Trevor May. Like, Trevor May's the only guy who wasn't used, right? All I need him to do is groove one and
So
just
you
give up
say
a run.
so you say to Trevor May, you give up a run tonight, you get $1 million in your bank account tomorrow. I mean, that's what it
Yeah,
would have to be.
yeah, pretty
He's
much.
already
Yeah.
saying he's like, I already
Yeah.
make $6 million a year.
Uh,
Why should I even bother with you?
maybe not a great example. How about the guy who's 2 years in the league, right? Same being sent up and down between
He's
in
still
AAA
making
and the Mets.
$600,000, and if he blows it, he risks a chance that he's going to even stay in the majors, right?
I don't think he's risking a full 600.
Even the Black Sox, right? That's over 100 years ago. And I don't think there's been any kind of scandal since then outside of whatever they said Pete Rose was doing as a manager betting on his own team.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's your other way, right? Like you could try to influence a manager, but even the managers are making millions, right?
They don't do anything now anyway.
And they don't get to do anything. So
actually, you know what you got to do? You got to hack the AI.
Yeah, that's what you have to
now
do.
You do it. That's how you make the money.
I'll tell you what you do. This is how you fix it. You teach guys to snap it, and then you do it at the grassroots, and then all of a sudden you have a generation of hitters who either only hit home runs or they hit 197.
Tragic Ron has cornered the market.
He gone.
He gone.
Tragic Ron. Jeff Fry
I love that, by the way.
He is so. Oh,
that's my new favorite thing on Twitter. The Tragic
Teacher
Ron.
Man and Tragic Ron.
Tragedy.
Jeff Fry has been I have these tweets that he puts out. I have been cracking.
I like
up.
Tragic Ron even more than the other guy.
I know.
It's almost like Cobra Kai. Actually, it's like Mike Silver just came in. It's just he's even better.
This is the Cobra Kai spoilers alert, part 2.
This is my $1,000 golf club. My smoking hot wife gave me. It'll be $650 until your kid. He's great.
Oh my God, Tragic Ron.
Oh boy, that's a good.
Go follow Jeff Fry on Twitter at the letter O, the number 3 JFRYE. You will not regret it. Former Major League Jeff Fry, Shigon Nation, our buddy. Oh, dog. The one thing we don't have in the rundown is gambling in sports. It's like the whole show right now. Happy Valentine's Day. So I guess we kind of covered it on our rundown item that says football, other sports versus baseball, because we're gonna just say I guess in the post-mortem here I'll inject the sports and gaming into that. I think we kind of covered it. Olympics are going on, and that was the cross promotion that we saw all over NBC, right? Yep. For them having the Super Bowl, they want to cross promote all the Olympic stuff. There's been little to no buzz. I had zero buzz going in, and I'm kind of an Olympic guy. I kind of like it, especially the Winter Olympics.
Yep.
And I have found myself seeking it out a little more. But I think 3 out of the last, 4 Olympiads between winter and summer being like on or about the Asian continent have really put a drain in a generation of people's Olympic wherewithal. Like I like my kids just are not. It's hardly on their radar. They've watched a little bit. Louisa was watching biathlon with me, which is like one of my favorites. I love that. It's cross-country skiing with shooting, and she's like, "Where would you even go to like start training for this?" I'm like, "Go cross-country skiing and then to the shooting range, I guess." I'm like, "Dog will teach you how to shoot, or your uncles. Like, you got some uncles that know how to handle a gun, and." You already can ice skate, so cross-country skiing is kind of like ice skating, but with just longer skates on, and, it's not as icy. So you could probably do that. Like, so go start training for biathlon. You'll probably be pretty good at it. And, of course, Dog, your new favorite Olympic sport, which is?
Oh, the cross, what's the monobob? Monobob.
Yeah.
Monobob, another made-up sport for Americans to get some Winter Olympics medals. Actually, I was going to comment on on Will Ferrell winning his gold medal. The guy from the what was it again? It's like the snowboarding where it's like the cross. Oh, jeez, I'm forgetting the name of it now.
Snowboard cross.
It was the mix. It was the mix. Yeah, mixed. Yeah, it was a mixed cross. Whatever.
Yeah,
mixed cross. Whatever.
Snowboard cross. It's racing. Yeah. It's racing, which is cool.
That was cool. That was fun. It was on for like 2.5 days. It felt like literally every time I was on, I'm like, all right, I know this guy won already. I'm like, and I know from the lead up, he's going to win because I've never heard of this guy before. And now he's on NBC like constantly.
That was live. That was live the other night. when it was on the final.
Yeah, well, I did watch it, but then they're
Yeah.
showing like the replays and they're showing like the lead up to it and stuff. So it's
Oh
like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
it was it was like enough already. But that
See,
was that was fun. I did
I,
get into it a little bit more this week.
I am amazed by like the slope style and like the snowboarders and the skiers. They're skating down the huge hill backward and they're
Yeah,
flipping
it
and
is
doing
it
all
is
the
cool.
they're doing all the tricks and spins and everything. But like I'm so much more partial to like the racing sports,
Yeah.
like as opposed to the judge sports, because like in a race, like I see who crosses the finish line and like I know who won,
Yeah.
and like I watch every one of the other things, and I'm like I need them to tell me who won.
Yeah.
And I'm still amazed, like when they're doing that, and I'm like, this. Oh my God, he's so high. I think he's gonna land in the nuclear reactor. Like the friggin' nuclear reactor. That's
Good.
like could you put like a white coat of paint on the thing like you did everything else with all your
Melt.
slave labor in China? Like
Melt.
please, you can't pretty it up. I mean, it does look cool. I gotta say, it looks cool. And those athletes, I have no idea how they could do that. None. And then the ski jump is absurd. I was watching that. I mean, these people are just
Got a little hockey buzz going, right? That was
yeah.
we didn't expect that, and that's coming up. So
I
that's
haven't
not too
really
bad.
watched the guys. I always watch the girls though. I
Yeah.
always watch the girls.
Michaela Schifrin, unfortunately, not coming through as well as she hoped.
Yeah,
So that was a big downer.
She shifted the bed.
That was she was obviously NBC's hope on that. So
Hey, sometimes the story doesn't work out and it becomes,
yeah,
a different
it's like
kind of
Lindsey
story.
Vonn, it's like Lindsey Vonn, right? That was
Yeah.
similar last time.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
it's still it's pretty compelling. The ice hockey is, women USA versus Canada for ice hockey gold. That's like always can't miss, But it's going to be at like 11 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta I'll have toothpicks holding up my eyes, I think, but I will stay up for that one. I watched the one from Pyeongchang, which was like even later. That was like really into the middle of the night, and that was like overtime shootout. And I was like waking up Debbie and Louisa. That one ended at like in the 3 o'clock hour, but I was like, there's no freaking way I'm missing this. And that was like one of the best hockey games I've ever seen in my life.
Looks like
I
me
don't know.
watching.
I don't know if it's going to go the Americans' way this time, though. Canada is like so strong. And the Americans get like 50 something shots a game, but they're only scoring like 2, 4, whatever. I'm like, this is not good. So we'll see. They do tend to come up big against Canada, though. I got to say that. I'll tell you who comes up big, dog. Big Ed,
Nice.
by definition. So producer Xavier and I went over to Fair Lawn, New Jersey the other day, and Big Ed's car wash took care of my car like you can't believe. And it was dirtier than I even thought it was. And then it came out, and I was waiting. I'm like, when's my car coming out? And he's like, it's out there. I'm like, what do you mean it's out there? He goes, it's out there. That's your car. I'm like, what? That can't be my car.
That's a new car.
That's your car. So it was good. Big Ed was there. He met up with us. He's been busy lately, dog. Been
good.
very busy. He's got like little tips and turns with the weather. I'm like, Big Ed, we're always hoping for bad weather starting Sunday night into Monday and Tuesday, and then good weather on the weekends because people want to have clean cars. He's like, people want to have clean cars for Valentine's Day. Guess what? He gets a little snow overnight.
There you go.
Clears in, comes out. Big Ed. So go check him out. Big Ed's Car Wash, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. If you're anywhere near the Bergen County or Passaic County areas, you don't want to miss it, and you will not regret it. He's got a big tunnel. He talks about it. He's very green, very environmentally conscious over there at Big Ed's Car Wash in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. And if Big Ed wanted to get the word out via printing and promotional products, he might go on to fmsgraphics.com for all his printing and promotional needs, as we might do. And I know at least a few of our viewers and listeners have done over the course of the last couple of years when they've been so graciously one of our chief sponsors. fmsgraphics.com is a family-run, family-owned business for the last 50 years. maybe 51 now, maybe even more than that. And anything you need, printing and promotional wise, they can take care of you and it'll be turned around nice and quickly. Go to fmsgraphics.com. fmsgraphics.com for all your printing and promotional needs. Now, back to the podcast. Other people just inject those in there. We do it just live, straight live each time. Universal DH. Universal DH is here. And as a Met fan and a National League guy, I know you must feel strongly about it a certain way. I am a Yankee fan and an American League guy, but I am a baseball guy. I am not a fan of the DH. I would if there were going to do something with the DH, I would have voted to get rid of it completely rather than to universalize it. But I will say this, I actually liked, and this is like such a Riz mode thing. I actually liked that it was like a DH in one league and not a DH in the other, and then you got to go play by like slightly different rules, which are not rocket science to figure out. And it just presents like a couple of different challenges here and there. And I liked it. And I like to see pitchers hit, and I like to see them have to handle the bat. And, I know most of them are not great at it. But you know what it does every game, dog? Every game that I would watch, and I would watch as many National League games as American League games. It reminds you frequently how freaking hard it is to hit a baseball. It's hard. It's really hard. And if everybody could do it, then there would be more jobs. And there would be more baseball leagues, but you can't because it's really hard. So a part of me died when they said universal DH. I mean, I understand it intellectually, and I don't want to be this guy that's, the hanger-on and old man yells at cloud, but I'm going to old man yell at cloud in this and just say I think it sucks. But I'll be the first one intrigued every time, now Dominic Smith gets, time at first base and Alonso will DH and we'll see what happens in left field and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up a National League fan. Always enjoyed it as part of the game. I think particularly when it was a more small ball league, I think it made it more interesting. And a pitcher could bunt, a pitcher, some pitchers could even give it a shot at hit and run and whatnot. It made it more palatable. I sort of rolled now that I'm kind of okay with the universal DH at this point, probably because we finally have a couple of guys in the Mets who could actually be a DH and be a positive for us. But yeah, it's one that I wasn't like jumping up and down that we got to get rid of it or anything. But I think given the choice to two, I actually don't mind it. It's kind of shifting and say that's just kind of the way that the league is kind of moved, unfortunately. I thought it would be the one interesting wrinkle I thought would be kind of cool was doing one where you keep the DH until you take the starter out, which is kind of cool. I kind of like the idea of like extending the value of having a starter go later into the game. So I thought that was an interesting wrinkle. I get the point of view, and it's complicated enough in baseball, so we don't need to make something even more. But I thought that would have been a neat kind of wrinkle to put in for both leagues. But that's what the fans seem to want at this point. So there you go. They got that. The players are happy about it. So off we go. I will miss seeing Thor and DeGrom and those guys hitting. I will say that. But
well, now Thor is like he's like the last guy that's going to be able to hit. Oh, I don't know. Maybe he'll DH when Ohtani pitches.
There you go.
He could, right?
He could.
He's the only guy that's ever hit a ball over 100 and thrown a ball over 100 besides Ohtani, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
There you go.
And if you want more on that, go back and find the episode of Diamond Diehards titled Wednesday is Thor's Day, which I thought was a great title. But
it was a great title.
And for the, exclusive club of you who listen to it, you'll have appreciated that as well.
You go.
Dog, we are moving along briskly here. Like, how does the universal DH affect, say, like the Brewers? Did the Brewers like it? Do the Cardinals like it? Do the world champion Braves like it? Do the Cubs like it? Do these teams look back and say, geez, we would have made a different move? How would you like to be the DH for the Colorado Rockies, Dog? I mean, like those are the other implications that, you know, are being thought about in these other markets. But it's kind of interesting, right? Like now, you want to talk about prop bets. The Rockies are going to break the Major League single season runs record now, right? Like, I mean, they have the DH in Coors Field. Like, are they not going to do that now? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah, I mean that's what people want, right? People want the offense. So that's it. That's the way it's gonna roll.
Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks want the offense. That's what they need. That's just what the Diamondbacks pitching staff needs to face
More
hitter,
hitters.
an extra hitter every game. That's gonna do it for the Diamond. The Dodgers need an extra hitter in their lineup every game. That's what the Dodgers need, Dog.
There you go.
The Padres. Now they could. You know what? You want to sit there and screw around with Fernando Tatis? Forget about right field. Put him in DH. Let him DH. Go ahead. Your cornerstone of your franchise. Let him DH for a while. It does help maybe with some of those longer term contracts in the National League though, like Manny Machado, Bryce Harper. These guys, don't necessarily have to play in their positions every day until they're 39. Francisco Lindor. Maybe
You
he's
know,
another.
don't you know?
Wow, I mean, like Cano,
Um,
that's an interesting one. What are you gonna like? You already have Dominic Smith, Pete Alonso, where you figure, you can improve your defense a little bit with Dominic Smith playing first and Alonso taking, maybe 2/3 of the reps at DH. But do you really want to do that? Because then what are you doing with Cano? Like Cano, you figure Cano and Smith would play at the same time, and you know,
AD Davis, is the other one for that. So who actually is probably almost their best fit for for that. I mean, depending on what you get with Dom Smith, right? It's 2 years ago Dom Smith's a no brainer. So last year's Dom Smith, not quite so much. Um, yeah, but can always say sort of somewhat facetiously, but he was finally getting going actually in winter balls. Like the lockout basically is killing him because he really needed to prove his worth either like for the Mets or if they were going to try and I don't know eat a ton and try and dump him off on somebody else. But um, now he's even further behind the power curve at this point of trying to break into that. But yeah, I mean it's an interesting one. Like how do you use it? Like I think you're rather astute with it on with the Yankees and stuff of like rotating around and keeping all the guys fresh rather than just have the one guy sitting there and boom staying there all the time. It's like no, put him out in the field and then bring other guys into DH and give everyone a break along the way. Um, so that's the interesting way that you have to be a little bit more dynamic about using the DH than just penciling the guy in.
yeah, I mean, look, there's certain guys. If you have Big Poppy, Edgar Martinez, Nelson Cruz, that's one thing, right? But there's not a lot of those guys, and there's too many teams make the mistake to think that they have guys that are like that, but it's only ever really worth it if you have a guy who's like that. Otherwise, it's just not. Like I think it's been proven out over and over. Like if you're the Cardinals, you have Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader, and Tyler O'Neill. You have like three Gold Glove winner types. Two of whom already have bagged Gold Gloves or multiple Gold Gloves already, and one who's probably on his way. So, what do you like? If you have another outfielder that comes up, do you put him in that rotation? Do you make him a DH? Do you trade him away and use the DH to rotate out your infielders? Like, there's a lot of different strategies that you could use depending on your team. Some teams like the Mets, you would figure it's pretty straightforward between Cano, Dominic Smith, and Pete Alonso that those guys would have the bulk of the DH at bats, and if you split it up three ways, maybe that's not so bad. And if you just basically take Cano out of the lineup against lefties, that's one way to do it, or Smith or whatever. But
And Alonso wants to play the field too,
yeah.
so this is a way to sort of balance that a little bit.
Well, I think he kind of had to say that beforehand, right? I mean, like that. Now it's
Well, I
a
don't know.
lot of guys
Some
wanted
guys
to.
some guys get squirrely about that, right? They really do not want to be just DHs, right? You see it a lot of times. You get a guy and all of a sudden you pop him in, it's just a DH, and it carries through into his bat, where it's surprising. You would think he gets an uplift, and you see so many guys that actually have a problem with it.
Okay, we'll put a bow in that one. I'm sure more will come up as the lockout ends, and we'll see if any big moves are made to adjust rosters that way. MLB labor negotiations. I think the big question is, with all the troops, the Russian troops coming to the Ukraine border. Oh, wrong negotiation. Sorry. I think did,
Nice.
did I did
Nice.
I did I misstep there? Um, is anybody paying attention to that?
It's my wrong Twitter feed.
Yeah, it's the Dog's all Twitter feed. You know, this is one of those things, I think, and I've contended this the whole time. And I know I'm looking worse and worse here because it's February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, if you're just tuning in. Um, Not too much going on. The new proposal from the owners to the Players Association, they're trying to address, quote unquote, the four core economic issues. Dog, I just feel like this is one of these things that's going to be like all of a sudden, one day we're going to be like, oh, they just went to the bargaining table and they solved it. And like now we're in a scramble of what they're going to do. So I do think, though, that we're getting to that point where if they hit March 1st, now we're talking about the real question of they got to push back the start of the season like a week at least. But I do feel like in my gut, without any inside information, just from overseeing the landscape, I feel like both sides have this April 15th Jackie Robinson Day as a magic date in the back of their minds where they want to be starting by then. And I would kind of love for that to be opening day anyway, because I don't necessarily need
Cold. It's too cold earlier on, and
some of
yeah,
this
it's
bad
always
weather,
better.
and
Yeah.
it's too hard to schedule these games in places that are domed or warm for the first 2 weeks of the season. It's just inevitable that Baltimore or Yankee Stadium or Fenway or something like that, the Chicago's, that they're in those 2 weeks, there's just no way around that you're going to have games elsewhere. Maybe not a lot, but a few. So I would be fine with that. You know me, I like to see the doubleheader thing. I am not, I'll take some flack maybe from my Shigon Nation people. I'm not so against the 7 inning doubleheader idea if it gives me 162 games. Um, for at least to agree to it for a 1 year deal, that's fine. I don't think it's it's something that will be there down the road. I just feel like this is one of those things that like we're just going to see all of a sudden it's just going to be solved, and then we're going to be right on to what's the plan to get these teams in major league stadiums and on the field by X date. That's just the way I feel. Am I wrong?
I mean, it feels like they're gonna have to eventually. Like again, it doesn't feel like these numbers are that far apart and that's difficult. And again, what I just kind of continually keep coming back to is, there's a deal to be made. It's just a question of, each side has the ability to agree to a deal. It's just a question of the willingness. And it just feels like the whole way in with the players, like they're just so pissed off about the last deal that they just want to put an L on the owners, like even if it's going to be an L on themselves. It's like that just seems to be their driving force. Um, I mean, eventually they're going to say enough's enough and just get it done. But I don't know. It really does feel like they want to pull a pound of flesh out of the owners, and I don't know. I'm not sure what the real huge upside is on both sides to do that, but that seems to be the way they want to go.
Look, pitchers and catchers, are they going to report ahead of the rest of the squads? No,
No,
at this point, right?
Yep.
So does that mean we have an inherent advantage early in the season for the hitters?
Probably, right? I mean, normally it's and which is funny because normally the pitchers are kind of ahead and the hitters are catching up a little bit. But yeah, I think 100% you're gonna get that impact.
So back to the gambling part, if you're paying attention and you're watching this right now, when the games start betting the overs at least for like the early parts of the game. How about that, dog? You like that? You like that tie-in?
There you go. There you go. Good job. Good job by
All of
you.
a sudden, dog's like, I might have to download that app now.
I like that one. That's okay. The over I don't have a problem with.
It ain't under till it's over. That's the famous line. It ain't under till it's over. And boy, that was never so true in the Super Bowl. The Bengals had gotten that field goal, I was dead. I would have needed a safety in overtime to cash my bets if that happened. Wouldn't have been good, dog. Wouldn't have been good. All
I
right,
missed
dog.
I missed mine by one. I had the Rams, but I had the hello Diamond Dog. So yeah, I was off by a pernt.
Wow. I had the Bengals a little bit on the money line, but I had them mostly with the getting the points and hooked in with the
You liked them
unders.
you liked them outright too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, but I what
Yeah.
I like
You didn't
so
bet it, but yeah,
if it's
you
in
liked
no,
it
I
straight up.
did. No, I did. I bet it
Oh, you
both
did?
ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I bet it
Oh,
both
okay.
ways. So I did like parlays with the Bengals on the money line and the under, and the Bengals against the spread and the under. But
Yeah.
the biggest stuff I did was Bengals on the spread and the under, that was like my main big opinion. So I pushed most of those chips in, and that's why I ended up okay. And speaking of ending up okay, we are in our home stretch, and we will finish up with our favorite segment, or at least one of our top 5 favorite segments, and that is Diehard Dads. And you couldn't hear that so well because, well, actually you can. I'll put it in after.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's great. You might have
I
heard
heard
it.
it. I heard it. I liked
Yeah.
it.
Okay,
All right,
Doug.
should I kick it off this time?
I could do the whole thing if you want. If you have something good, then you
I
could
got
start and I'll finish.
all right, I got a quickie. So
Okay.
I'll give a quick shout out to my boy Keegan, who just got elected his senior patrol leader of his Boy Scout troop. So that was pretty exciting. Does a lot of work. Gets dragged to it all the time because of me, and it was nice to see recognition from all the fellow scouts. So good job by Kiki as the senior patrol leader of his Boy Scout troop.
All right, Keegan. Good job on that, Keegan. Good job. It's big.
It is big. Good
Bodes
stuff.
bodes well. Never know. You never know what
Leader.
these young accolades are going to lead to, Doc. Did you remember that I was the vice president of our freshman class at Fordham? Did you remember that?
I did not remember that actually.
I was. I
Wow.
was. I was
There
on
you
the
go.
Vox. I was on the Vox party. I was the VP. I got elected. VP. Freshman year, Fordham.
Good job. Good job there,
And
Riz.
they tried to move me down the ticket, and that cost them for sophomore year.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't understand why. It was a terrible decision, but
I believe in leadership.
we all paid the price, dog. We all paid the price, and the class
Learned
of
a life
90,
lesson.
class of 91 was never the same, but we did make it this far. Okay, so one of my other gigs, dog. I do. I gladly and honored to do the play-by-play for the New Jersey Rockets girls U16 and U19 games. And there was an interesting one on Saturday. And let's just say there was some chippiness going on out in York, PA, against the York
Devils,
Lady
right?
Devils. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little incident at the end of the game. It would appear on video, but of course, this stuff is never just one little thing, right? It's always two sides to every story, and the things brewing the whole game, and you can only see what's going on behind the camera, and I'm sitting there trying to do play by play for this thing, and I'm running the camera, and I'm doing the live stream, and I'm speaking, and the whole deal. So this is now by far the most viewed game I've ever done because the York Lady Devils were they were privy to the YouTube, and I guess they got the stream, which is fine. I mean, I make no bones about it. I'm a homer, but I call it pretty fair. I try to call what I see, and you know, it's I'm partial to our girls, as I think I should be as a dad of one of the ones on the team. You know,
No,
not making any money off this, so I could kind
flipping
of
all
say
the way
what
out to York. Come on.
can kind of say whatever the fuck I want, right? I mean, like, like understand like that you wouldn't be watching the video if I wasn't doing it. And
Yeah.
so I have to say, over the really basically 2 seasons that I've done it, I have never gotten more accolades and appreciation. First of all, from our Rockets family, which is really I've made such great friends, and I've just had so many people say so many nice and appreciative things to me about it. And I really actually consider it a privilege that I could even do it. But what's always amazed me as well is I've had tons of people from the other teams come up to me, seek me out, and find out like, oh, you're the guy that does that? Yeah. It's so cool. Like people say really, really, really nice stuff, except for the York Devils. They don't like me. They think
Not all.
you see these? Do you see these glasses, dog? They think I need a new pair, based on what I'm seeing. To be fair, the fonts on their jerseys did make it hard for me to read. And I'm not I'm not doing it the way I would like, super pro style here, where I'm getting rosters beforehand and figuring everybody's names out and stuff. I usually try to get the goalies' names because you're saying their names a
All the
lot,
time,
and
yeah.
it sort of makes it easier when blah 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 makes a save or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, the comments were a flying, flying. I mean, forget it. It's got like, I think it's got that game has like more views than me falling on my ass on for you, the Diamond Diehards Nation, falling on my ass to bring you great content away. Um, it's got more than that. So typically, what I do is I use a streaming app because on YouTube, if you have you need like 1,000 followers or subscribers, whatever it is, to be able to stream an event live from your phone. Now you could do it from your computer, but I'm not carrying my computer around. So I use this app called Prism Live Studio, and you're at the mercy of whatever your connection to the internet is, be it data or if you can connect to Wi-Fi inside an arena. And a lot of times it gets a little bit choppy or there's latency or whatever. So my process is I do the live stream. After the live stream's done, I have a copy saved locally to my phone, and then I upload it, and then I take the other copy and I unlist it and I put the good copy up there. Well, usually the live stream one is the one that gets more of the views because people are kind of seeing it and they
As it goes, yeah.
link around. Uh, but this one is like I unlisted that one and I put the higher quality one up, and like that's getting a lot of views. I'm like, geez, this is getting a little crazy here, people. Like.
Nice.
But yeah, they had some good disparaging remarks about me, which I appreciate, which means they're supporting me and they're going on and watching the videos and downloading them. So I do appreciate that. And I am a staunch believer in free speech. They could say whatever the hell they want. I don't like it if they're trying to disparage kids, but I don't think any of that was really so much happening. They can kind of say what they want, and as long as they stand by YouTube's guidelines, and okay, whatever. It's a reflection of you if you put your name on it. But yeah, it was kind of dog. It kind of reminded me of this.
I kind of see a show of Riz reading like mean tweets. Riz reading mean YouTube comments.
You could just go on. You could just go on the Joe Rizzo YouTube.
There we go.
Go on YouTube and do Joe Rizzo Rockets, and you could find it.
I
But
see
dog,
this.
it reminded me. It reminded me of. So when I was, so we'll get into a little bit of like the Riz background, right? Like in the '90s, I was a sports writer for ESPN Sports Ticker, and one of my things that was my beat was college football. So I used to write a college football column every week. And sometime about like 1998, uh, Nebraska was still kind of like in the Tom Osborne dynasty, and they were still kind of winning, but you could see that they were falling off a little bit, but they still were good enough to like be in contention, right? And basically I was kind of looking at the writing on the wall in this particular column and saying like, yeah, they might get there at the end, but they don't have enough to like summit the mountain and get another trophy. And I got a death threat faxed to me.
How did the faithful take that?
They faxed me a death threat. I was like,
God-fearing people in the Corps were going crazy on you.
and I was like, I looked at this. I'm like, oh my God, I made it. I got a death threat. Somebody actually cares enough. It wasn't really like a real death threat, but it was, it was a pretty mean fax. Yeah. So this wasn't quite at that level. It was just like you need glasses and I don't know what you're looking at, and my kid scored a goal and they should excessively celebrate, like, whatever. They could say what they want. That's fine. If it was my kid and I saw that, I might be mad or not mad or emotional about whatever. It's fine. I don't care. I did want to invite their play-by-play person to jump on and, share with me their thoughts, but apparently nobody films their games, so they're stuck with me. Sorry, guys.
That's all you get.
You got me. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be able to make these comments because, you wouldn't have anything on there. But it's okay. Look, I mean, it's like one of our parents said, it's they're going to battle, they take it seriously, and if they were on the same team, they'd probably, hate the other team, and that's what sport is sometimes all about. And listen, you learn a lot of life lessons from it too, that sometimes people aren't really nice, and they say stuff or they do stuff that you don't like, and it tests your character. How am I going to respond, right? And
This might be the most depressing Valentine's Day show ever. Oh my God, we're talking like death threats.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, honey, how was your day?
Hey, honey, how was your day? I don't know.
I got a death threat from some dude in York. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm hanging out with Tito now, though. He's saving the day.
Oh, maybe.
It's Diehard Dads. That's what it is. But you understand that, right?
There.
Like, it's a little adversity, and some of our girls had to hear some things that were not nice, that were being said on the ice, and there were some reactions or not reactions or whatever. There's a lot of sides to the story.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt. Some feelings.
The difference between girls squawking at other girls, or like parents squawking at girls.
Well, there were some of the parents squawking at girls.
See, that's where it crossed the line. That's the not cool.
That's not acceptable.
Yeah. Well, we had that
banging on the glass and things like that.
Yeah, we had the kids on kids last summer. Going back to that one again, but yeah, that was a bad scene. Damn.
Yeah,
actually, that was another Pennsylvania thing. You know what? Fuck Pennsylvania. Philly, typical.
Hey, look, my name goes far in Philly. I'm not gonna. I don't like the Philly sports teams, but I do like the Philly people.
There you go.
And York is more like Baltimore. You go to York and it's Capitals Ravens.
Yeah, they're different out there.
It's not Flyers Eagles.
Yeah.
So but we get treated shitty universally, so that's okay.
Right. That's okay.
Hey,
They gotta live in York.
if you didn't bring something to the table, they wouldn't care. That would be even worse.
There you go.
It's all right. It's all character building. I don't hold any grudges toward anybody. about it. And some of the commenters were players from the team, and especially those kids. They could say what they want. So reflection on them. All right, dog. Let's see. Big Ed, FMSgraphics.com. We got Chris Lopez in, great veteran of the day. We thank the wives for being great Valentines. We thank you for supporting us. I don't know. Did we cover all of it?
I think we got it.
All right. I think I fixed the issue here, so you can hear the outro. We want you to follow the dog at Jeff Healy 8. That's the number 8. We want you to follow at Diamond Diehards on Twitter as well, and that's me usually running that account. And we are on social media everywhere as at Diamond Diehards, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Pretty soon, that next TikTok is gonna
This
drop.
close.
Yeah, we've been this close for like 4 months, and we appreciate your support. Even LinkedIn, you can check it out. I updated some stuff also on the YouTube, dog. So hopefully that gives us a little better awareness on the YouTube side. Now I'm going to work a little bit on the LinkedIn stuff this week. So which we had done a lot of in the beginning and haven't looked at too much lately, but. We do tend to focus on the Facebook group where we do have a lot of support. And, of course, if you haven't subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or YouTube, we encourage you to do so because it does help us. It helps us get exposure, and it helps you get content that is not only good but great, which is our goal. We try to do that, and we try to do it as a little more frequently, but with a little more exposure and a little more growth, I think we can probably do it even better. So tell a friend to tell a friend about Diamond Diehards, and go ahead. Don't forget to go do that. We need your video views, and we need your audio listens and your subscriptions that are 100% free. That is going to wrap it up for a Monday Night Live on Valentine's Day. We covered it all from Veteran of the Day to the Super Bowl to online gambling, the Super Bowl versus the World Series, the Olympics, the Universal DH, the lockout, pitchers and catchers, and, of course, Diehard Dads. We did it all for you, and we are glad to do it. For the dog, Jeff Healy, this is Joe Rizzo. Diamond Diehards is out.